Hey, how about them Eagles? Shame on them Eagles having the utter gall not to accept an invitation to spend time with our great and glorious leader and make him look good for all the world to see. What do you think Kim Jong-un would say about that, huh? I mean, he was so gracious enough to invite them even after they were treasonous enough to kneel in, well, actually, they didn't kneel in protest, but they were probably kneeling at some point. I mean, the pictures are right there on Fox News, and they wouldn't make it up. Yeah, they were kneeling during warm-ups and practice and praying after the game, and that is clearly highly disrespectful to flag and country, because true patriots, they remain standing at all times, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. I mean, God forbid somebody should start playing the Star-Spangled Banner and catch them unaware in a posture of disrespect. But he went and invited them anyway, and some of them, those traitors, they opted not to accept his invitation. Do you realize the damage this can do to the country? You know, our fearless leader really deserves better than this. If people don't like the idea of somebody telling them they have to go kneel before their leader, why don't they go to North Korea? All right, we're getting silly here, but this whole thing is silly. Jim Walsh here at Super Talk 1270, online at supertalk1270.com. Am I getting feedback? Am I feeding back here? Am I getting, let me turn this down a little bit. I don't want to feedback because I don't want to blow my eardrums. Turn down. There we go. Okay, much better, much better. I mean, I'm deaf anyway. It doesn't matter to me, but, I don't want you to blow out your eardrums while you're listening to this program. Actually, I don't want to talk about the Trump thing. As far as I'm concerned, Donald Trump is the north end of a southbound horse. He always has been. And we may cover it a little bit later on, but I want to talk about something a little closer to home. The question of smoking. This is something that pops up on the show periodically. And there is a story out of New Jersey. Well, you may be asking, well, why, Jim, are we talking about what they do in New Jersey? Well, there is a method to this madness. Basically, the question is this. Do we want to follow the lead of what they're trying to do in places like New Jersey and ban smoking in places like the public parks and along the river? Because this is going on right now, and New Jersey is one of the states where they seem to be leading the way in this effort. The question is, do you think we should ban smoking in these places? Imagine going to Sertoma Park and being told no cigarettes while you're at Sertoma Park or any of the other parks in the area. And a number here, by the way, is 663-9898. Now, New Jersey is trying this. They want to ban most smoking on public beaches. Of course, Jersey, they have the Jersey Shore there where Springsteen and all his friends hang out, and Snooki and all those. And by the way, the south part of the Jersey Shore is actually a whole different ballgame from the North Jersey Shore. The South Jersey Shore is much more low-key and family-friendly. It's nothing like what they portrayed on those MTV shows from a couple of years back with Snooki and all those people. Snooki, if she showed up at Ocean City, New Jersey, she'd be bounced out on her ear because it's a nice place. It's a nice place to live. It's a nice place to vacation. I would say that for most of the southern Jersey Shore. Everything, I would say, from Atlantic City on down to the Cape, to Cape May, all the way to Cape May. It's a lot different, a lot more, like I say, it's a lot more family-friendly. One of those towns is a dry town, Ocean City. Okay, seems to work for them. They got the big package store. You get on the causeway and drive back off into the main island, and they got a big giant package store right there at the end of the causeway on the mainland. And you know that guy must have a license to print money, or he may as well have, because you can take liquor into Ocean City, you can drink it there, you just can't buy it in the city. They can't serve it. They have no package stores in the city, and they have no restaurants that serve liquor. That's just the way it is. But it seems to work out for them. But the point is, New Jersey, once again, they're talking about banning smoking on public beaches, which it occurred to me, with all the anti-smoking campaigning going on here in North Dakota, it's just a matter of time before they get around to emulating what they're doing in places like New Jersey, California. They got some people who are trying to do the same thing there. But, of course, we don't have any real beaches, so to speak. We have a town called Beach, which is a very nice place. And, of course, we have the reservoir, the big, giant Lake Sakakawea, and the other lake across from Sakakawea, upstate. Very nice areas. And at some point, somebody's going to say, well, we should ban smoking around these places because we don't want them dropping all the cigarettes and hurting all the little fishies. You may have heard about the smelt issue right now in Lake Sakakawea. A lot of the smelt are dying from some kind of bacterial infection. And Game and Fish, Jeb and the gang over there, they're saying that things are going to be okay. But some people are going to look at this and say, see, that's what's going to happen if we keep letting people smoke around the big lake there. So let me put it to you. I'm not big on banning smoking. I'm not a smoker, but I'm not big on banning smoking. But let me put it to you. Do you think this is something that we need to emulate here in the Peace Garden State and actually roll back, restrict, or even ban the smoking of cigarettes in public areas such as parks and near the major bodies of water? Imagine going down to, say, the Missouri River. Maybe you're going to launch your boat, or maybe you're going to fish a little bit, or maybe just dip your toe in the water, whatever you're going to do down there. Let's say you're over at Keelboat Park one afternoon, and you're sitting there and you decide to fire one up, and some ranger-looking guy comes over to you, Mr. Ranger, sir, and he says, oh, you can't do that here anymore. Sorry, we have outlawed smoking. Now, my question to you is, does that swing for you? Would you be okay with that? And the number here is 663-1270. Because it's going to happen eventually. Eventually, they're going to try to do this. You've heard all the announcements on radio and TV about all the horrible things involved with smoking. They find all these horrible, worst-case scenario people whose faces have been just eaten away by chewing tobacco or smoking cigarettes, and it's really horrific looking. Never mind the fact that these are relatively rare worst-case situations, but they put them on TV because they want to scare the hell out of everybody, because basically they don't want you to smoke anymore. And if it were up to them, and someday that may be the case, I don't know what our current governor thinks about it, but maybe they would actually say no smoking. No smoking in the outdoors now. You can't smoke indoors in a lot of places. Now you can't smoke outdoors in a lot of places. Except, of course, in properly designated areas. It'd be like going to high school again. Remember in high school you had the smoking lounge? And the deal was you could keep the smoking lounge open as long as you kept it properly cleaned and maintained. If it wasn't, they would close the smoking lounge and you weren't allowed to smoke anymore. Well, apparently we got people who want to treat us all like we're back in high school again. But maybe you're okay with that. If so, please let me know. Number here, 663-1270. Jim Walsh on Super Talk 1270 online at supertalk1270.com. Be right back.
Currently at 69.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
Yes, a wee bit of the old ultraviolence for you. It's Super Talk 1270. Supertalk1270.com. I think I got my headphones fixed here. Okay. If you see me bleeding out the ears, call an ambulance. Otherwise, we'll be okay. All right, talking about the idea of banning smoking outdoors. It's coming. We've been heading in that direction for a long time now. The idea of following in the footsteps of other states, places like New Jersey, where they're trying, yet again, to ban smoking on public beaches. Well, what about in parks here or along the river, or along Sakakawea, the big reservoir there. There are people who want to do it. Are you among them? Number here is 663-1270. I'd love to get your comments on this, and I may go back and touch upon the Trump thing with the Eagles again. Oh man. See, if you're listening to the show right now, you may be shocked to hear that I am not a Donald Trump fan. Never have been, never will be. You see, this is why I cannot get hired at any of the big-time talk radio stations. Not that I don't like living here in Bismarck. It's a great town. I have a family here. This town's been good to me. I found a wife here. I got a family. I got an education here through Minot State and the University of Mary. It's been a good place to live for me. But, you wonder sometimes if you could do the big time. I don't think I could, for the simple reason that I don't play the conservative card. I don't sit here and go, well, that Trump, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. That Trump, he's like the Messiah. He's the biggest thing to happen on this earth in 2,000 years. He'd never do anything wrong. Anyway, I don't do that. And the great thing about having Trump in the White House is it's truly the White House again. Well, people don't say that. That's just what they're thinking. But anyway, back to the issue at hand here. New Jersey trying to ban most smoking on public beaches. Now, here's how it works for them. And again, obviously, in the case of North Dakota, we're not talking beaches, but, do the math for yourself. And give me a call here, number 663-1270. Oh, I do believe I have a phone call. Well, let's get on the blower here. Hi, cool night. There I go again. Wrong station. This is Super Talk 1270. Thank you for calling. Go ahead. Hello. Oh, always like to hear from Buzz. Thank you. The invisible man. Tell him I can't see him. Alrighty. Now that we got the phones fixed. Okay. It only took me a half hour to get the phone, to pick up the phone there. All right. So, banning smoking in outdoor venues like Sertoma Park or Keelboat Park or any of the parks around the area or any of the areas along the big bodies of water. Now, in New Jersey, they're trying this with the beaches, or they're trying to get it so where they ban it with the beaches. Here's how this would work there. They advanced bills this week to ban smoking at public beaches except for designated smoking areas, which would consist of they make up about 15% or less of the beach area. Smokers would also be allowed to light up in parking lots. Final vote to be held later this week. The fines for violators would start at $250 for a first offense, and for a third offense would get as high as $1,000. Now, why are they doing it? Well, you know the arguments by now. The whole thing about the ill effects of smoking and of secondhand smoke. The State Department of Environmental Protection says they will provide assistance to local communities. And, of course, similar bills. They've tried this before, and it was always shot down. It was vetoed. And the bill does not spell out who would be responsible for enforcing the ban. Now, another example, I think, of feel-good legislation. We'll pass it because it makes us all feel good and it's a wonderful thing, but how are they going to make it work? Well, we'll figure that out later. But for now, everybody feel good. Yay. Now, there has been some resistance, obviously, with the New Jersey thing. Towns have expressed concern about whether they really want their lifeguards to spend their valuable time checking to see if people are smoking, which would obviously distract them from their real job of saving people in the water. And a lot of the shore towns say they don't have enough police officers or even special police officers to patrol the beach looking for cigarettes. Long Branch is a town in New Jersey. It's a beach town. They do have it, but they say it's not easy. And again, picture the scenario, and it's probably very similar to here. You figure a hot summer day somewhere like Keelboat Park right there along the river, and you're going to have it's going to be a lot of people there. You're going to have people there doing different things, like maybe wading in the water a little bit, or they're going to be out there in their boats or launching their boats or sitting by the end of the river fishing. And just imagine the scenario. All these people out there doing different things, and somebody fires up a cigarette, and then somebody who's offended by it has to go look for a special police officer to make them put it out. Like the police don't have anything better to do. Well, then they say, we'll get the lifeguards to do it. Like the lifeguards don't have anything better to do. The lifeguards, when you think about it, that's a very important job they have. We really shouldn't be distracting the police or the lifeguards. Now, the bill, and again, we're talking about what they're doing in New Jersey because people want to do it here too. The bill does go into some detail about who would get the money from the fines. Follow the old dinero, right? Yep. And it would depend on whether the charges were bought by state or local health departments. Nationwide, more than 300 coastal communities have banned smoking on their beaches, according to something called the American Non-Smokers' Rights Foundation. And we've got that type here, too. The ND Smoke, whatever they call themselves. Well, the Jersey Shore, there are some beaches that already prohibit smoking on their own, like Ocean City, Belmar, Spring Lake, Seaside Heights. And the bill has the support of many environmental groups. Okay, fine. They don't want to turn the beaches into ashtrays or clouds of air pollution. Personally, having lived at the Jersey Shore, I don't recall that being a problem. I think it would be even less of a problem here, but then again, what do I know? I don't have all the answers. They do. Secondhand smoke leading to health. We all know about the potential issues and children. Oh, here we go. We got to think of the children, right? They're playing on the beach, breathing in all that secondhand smoke that's wafting downwind from somewhere else. We can't have that now, can we? But let me ask you, do you think this is worth pursuing? The idea of emulating what some states like New Jersey and some other states are doing, banning smoking. Obviously, the beach is not an issue for us. We don't have an ocean. We do have several big bodies of water. And, of course, we have the big old river. We have a beautiful layout for the river, the Missouri River. You go down there around Keelboat, and it is just, on a day like this, it is just an extraordinary experience. There are a few better places on earth where you can go if you want to be near a big body of water. And would it matter to you? Is it something that is important to you? I would ask you that. Would you support legislation to restrict the smoking of cigarettes? Is it ever a problem for you? Maybe it is. I don't recall it being a problem. I've been there many times myself with my wife and friends. And do you ever see cigarette butts down there and you go, oh, I can't have that? Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe they just do more of that kind of thing in New Jersey. I don't know. But where do you stand on this? The number here is 663-1270. Some states are trying to roll back and restrict smoking in outdoor venues. Here, obviously, we'd be talking about the parks and along the river, and especially along the reservoir near Lake Sakakawea and the other big reservoir-type lakes and bodies of water around the state. There around Devil's Lake, that area, the Red River in Fargo. It may come to that. It may come to the question of deciding whether we have to restrict or even ban smoking in these areas. Where do you stand on the issue? Number here, 663-1270. Supertalk 1270 online, supertalk1270.com. And be sure and like us on Facebook. We'll like you back. And you can keep in touch with everything going on here, all the news updates. More conversation, your calls coming up.
Currently at 69.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Supertalk 1270.
Let's touch a little bit upon the Colorado thing, the baker We didn't want to bake a cake for the homosexual couple. And they're saying he won his case with the Supreme Court. Actually, the case, the whole argument is still unresolved because the ruling was made based on a procedural issue with the state. So they haven't really resolved anything. I'm just going to say this: if you want to not do business with people because of their sexual preferences, I do support the right of association. That being said, I personally would have nothing to do with you because I have no respect for your viewpoint. You got to respect my religious belief. No, I don't. I don't. You're an intolerant twit if you feel that way. And you should have the right to be an intolerant twit. But let's be honest here. I, for one, would have nothing to do with you. You're not going to get any of my money. And let me remind you something here. If you're going to start and talk about freedom of association, that's fine. But where do you draw the line on this kind of thing? Where do you draw the line on freedom of association? If you're going to tell people they don't have to bake a wedding cake for a same-sex couple, then because of their views on religion, okay? What do you say when an atheist doctor decides he doesn't want to treat some guy in the ER because he's the guy coming in is some kind of prominent ultra-religious nut job preacher? And the guy says, well, I don't believe in what he's saying, so you got to respect my beliefs. I'm not going to treat him. I'm not going to save his life. You think it's ridiculous? Well, you started it. Number here is 663-1270. Back to the issue at hand here. And I think it's a fascinating thing to talk about because even though it's going on in other states, these things do have a way of winding up here, and there is already a movement in place to ban smoking in a lot of areas. And it's an incremental thing, which means they're going to try and do it piece by piece. They know that if they actually came out and tried to ban smoking completely and make tobacco illegal, nobody would go for that. So they're going to do it incrementally. They're going to do it in little tiny steps here and there. And every time they do it, they're going to insist, okay, this is it. This will be the last step. After we get it here, everything will be fine and we won't bother you again about it. And they will count on your very short memory when a couple of years later they come back and it's like it never happened. Oh, we got to roll back the thing here and this, that. That's how it works. That's how it always works with this kind of stuff. Number here, 663-1270. And the question is, is it a legitimate thing to want to roll back smoking cigarettes or smoking anything for that matter on the shoreline of the river or around the big bodies of water or even in the public parks? Would you be okay if you wanted to go to Sir Termal Park one afternoon, maybe for a little picnic, take the kids, maybe the rides over there, and they're saying, well, you can't smoke here anymore. We're no longer allowing smoking for environmental and health reasons. Maybe you'd be okay with that. Maybe, obviously, somebody out there is. They keep pushing this thing. So, you tell me, 663-1270. And, of course, your comments are always welcome on the Super Talk 1270 Facebook page and our website as well. It's been a weird week for news. I mean, you had this thing with Trump and the Eagles. And I liked what the mayor of Philadelphia had to say about the whole thing. Go and check that out for yourself. You can go Google it. I think he's right on the money with this. And have you heard the latest about Miss America? Now, obviously, the current Miss America is from North Dakota, and she is apparently a part of this. She has commented. She's made the announcement that the Miss America pageant will no longer include the swimsuit competition. Well, okay. There goes any reason I would have for watching it. Not that I would. Does anybody really care at this point? 663-1270. The next edition of the Miss America pageant will scrap swimsuits and be more inclusive to women of all sizes, the contest announced Tuesday. Gretchen Carlson, former Miss America, chairwoman of the Miss America Board of Directors, announced on Good Morning America that the event will no longer feature the swimsuit portion. Miss America will be a competition, not a pageant. Well, my question is, can they still call it Miss America? Because I think in most people's minds, Miss America is basically a beauty pageant. So they have to come up with a different name for it. But she says we will no longer judge our candidates on their outward physical appearance. Which is kind of, well, I'll believe it when I see it. The day that they actually select a woman who is not particularly attractive but carries herself very well, the day they pick a woman like that who is not a natural beauty but carries herself, and there are a lot of women like that who I find very attractive, but the day they actually do that, then I'll be impressed. I'll think, well, they obviously meant what they said. But until then, I will remain skeptical. Cara Mund, current Miss America, tweets, we're changing out of our swimsuits and into a whole new era. Hashtag bye bye bikini. The new Miss America competition will be more inclusive to women of all shapes and sizes. The official Miss America Twitter account tweeted a short video of a white bikini going up in a puff of smoke and blah, 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 blah. Basically, what happened was they went to some women and they said, oh, but here's the problem, though. Here's the problem with that. The Miss America pageant is not really for women. It's not the TV show is not a TV show for women. Women are not the primary audience. Primary audience is men who want to look at the women. Just saying. Some changes to the pageants. That'd be like McDonald's going to somebody from PETA and saying, what should we change in our hamburgers? Well, if the person you're asking is not ever going to be part of your target demographic to begin with, then what's the sense in really asking them? Some changes to the format have been expected since the organization is now being led entirely by women, and that's fine. They can do that, but I just question their business sense if they're going to do something like this. Last month, a woman named Regina Hopper appointed president and CEO. Another woman appointed as chair of the board of trustees. Carlson was named chairwoman in December. They're taking over for the leaders of the Miss America organization who resigned in December after the Huffington Post released the leaders employees that sent emails disparaging pageant contestants, including reference to their weight and sex lives. Okay, fine. Nothing wrong with any of that, getting rid of those people and putting new people in. But it doesn't sound to me like they, it's fine. It's just not the Miss America pageant anymore. And if that's what you want, you're not going to get it. They should change the name of it because it's no longer what it was. It stands for something different now. And again, that's fine. But don't call it the Miss America pageant. Statement announcing the new leaders. Miss America said the all-female team signaled a new era for the organization, best known for its widely televised pageants. Yeah, but who really widely televised? I mean, for a couple of years there, they had them on one of the cable networks. And even Atlantic City was no longer interested for a couple of years. They moved them out of Atlantic City, put them out in, where were they, Vegas one year and Nashville another year. And then he moved back to Atlantic City and then back and forth. In case you're wondering, the Miss America competition will be in Atlantic City this year on September the 9th. And I will probably not be watching because I just don't care. But There you go. Maybe you do. And that's fine. It's a free country. You have the right to like Miss America, just like you have the right not to accept the president's invitation to go to his stupid little wingding for the football thing. You have that right, or you should have that right. Now let's talk about something really important. All-day breakfast. I love all-day breakfast. Love it, love it, love it. If I could eat 3 breakfasts a day, I would. Breakfast is my favorite meal. Breakfast food is my favorite. Most of my favorite food is breakfast food. And we find out now that in Canada, hi Canada, how you doing? Eggs are surging in sales. Because, as you know, eggs are no longer part of the axis of evil foods. There was a period for a while there, 10, 20 years ago, where they talked about these foods that are not really good for you, that you're supposed to eat them very sparingly, like red meat and bacon and all this other stuff. And they had eggs on the list. Well, they no longer have eggs. Eggs are no longer a part of the axis of evil foods. They took eggs off the list. Eggs are now good food again. They're incredible, and they're edible. They're eggs. And the sales of eggs in Canada has gone through the roof. And a big reason for that is a big trend in all-day breakfast. Big demand in Canada for all-day breakfast. And I'm one of those people who, when McDonald's did the thing where they started the Egg McMuffins all day, I was there going, why weren't you doing this all along? Egg McMuffins are great. Now, they had their logistical reasons, supposedly, for not doing it. They say they couldn't justify it. But I'm one of those guys, if I'm riding around at 5 or 6 in the afternoon, if I'm hungry, I could eat an Egg McMuffin. Yeah, what's wrong with that? I think it's a good thing. It's like talking about the movies the other day. You go to the movies nowadays, and you'll find a lot of aspects of going to the movies are a lot more accommodating. The seats are a lot more comfortable. For an extra $1 or $2, you can get these reclining seats. You push a button, you can actually kick back like you're in a lazy boy at home and watch the movie where you're kind of laying back there. And that's real nice. And the reason they do that, of course, is competition because of all the home entertainment stuff going on. The movie theaters finally got around and says, well, we can't just get away with packing everybody in like sardines anymore. The movie-going experience is no longer enough to get them in here. And God knows we're not going to get any better quality movies out of Hollywood, so we better do something. So they came up with this idea of the kickback seats, and it's real nice. Well, now the restaurants are starting to get the message, too. People want the option of having breakfast in the afternoon. Why not? More and more, we live in a 24-hour society. And the thing is, I'd love to hear from you, by the way. If you're one of those people who can eat breakfast any time of day, or you eat breakfast at 5 in the afternoon, I love, join me here. We've got to stand together on this. Because if we don't, next thing you know, McDonald's will be saying, we got to go back to the old way because people just shouldn't eat breakfast at 5 in the afternoon. Well, that's not why they do it, of course. They do it because they say it's a big hassle to, cook breakfast and then they have to change the griddle and change everything around in the kitchen for the lunch and dinner menus. That's what they say anyway, but how big it... they make... Some of these McDonald's restaurants make most of their money on the breakfast stuff. Did you know that? That's true. I'm sure that was a factor in this ultimate decision. But last year... McDonald's, A&W was another one. I didn't even think they were in business anymore. We had an A&W in town here, and they went away. But McDonald's, A&W, they began selling their breakfast sandwiches around the clock. Tim Hortons, which is a great coffee chain in Canada, they are now starting their own test at certain locations in Ontario. And it is a big hit at McDonald's. A lot of people thought it wouldn't be. But with the sales of the egg meals surging 25% in the first 12 months of offering the all-day breakfast. That's an increase of 35 million more eggs. That's a buttload of eggs right there. And the figures are startling. So are you an all-day breakfast person? I would love to hear from you if you are. We can stand together in solidarity and celebrate the incredible edible all-day egg baby. 663-1270. Love to hear from you. Jim Walsh on Super Talk 1270. supertalk1270.com. More conversation. Your calls coming up.